Cloudsdale's weather factory has a great and terrible secret they have been hiding since the founding of Equestria. No, not that. No, it's not a rainbow factory, it's... They're not turning ponies into rainbows! Ever since Wooden Toaster, aka Glaze, made the song Weather Factory, the fandom has looked at Cloudsdale with both a sense of wonder at its attractive aerial architecture and a hesitant suspicion that maybe something more was going on in that floating city. After the song was created, which if you're one of the few in the fandom who haven't heard the song, I encourage you to go check it out, fictions and ideas began sprouting in every which direction that Cloudsdale was secretly making rainbows out of good-for-nothing ponies. Now, to be honest, I was tempted to search for some silly bit of evidence to capitalize on and support the idea. However, what I found was much more shocking. There is something strange going on in Cloudsdale. That much is not limited to fictions and fan music. Haven't noticed? From the very beginning of its history in Equestria, we can see that Cloudsdale was a militaristic city whose leader had a bit of a power trip. While it wasn't an uncommon trait among the different nations at the time, Commander Hurricane thought his, or her, tribe was the superior one. If it wasn't for their leaders sorting it out on their own in the events of Hearthswarming Eve, they might have gone to war. Even after peace came to Equestria between the tribes, precautions were undoubtedly set in place to prevent future conflict. Their seclusion on the clouds could guarantee that no other tribe could ever find out about any plans they wanted to keep secret. And why are they so secluded up there? I would say that events like the Best Young Flyers competition would be good PR for them, but who would even come to those things other than the princesses and the Pegasi who already had access there? It seems suspicious to host any large events at all when the princesses are the only major guests that would be able to attend. The only way to come to Cloudsdale is if you have wings, or if you do like the main six did and use some heavy-duty magic. The fact that Cloudsdale even signed up as a nominee to host the Equestria Games is very odd. It would never work. 2/3 of Equestria would be physically unable to attend or compete. It's almost as if they nominate themselves purely just to say that they did, for good PR. Now the other tribes throughout history have spread out to different towns, mixing with other races in other places, but Cloudsdale remained isolated. They did not bother grounding it anywhere or finding a way to allow anyone to visit, but rather stayed content to keep other races out by suspending themselves in the sky. We know that it's possible for ponies to have children of other races, so what if a Cloudsdale pony gave birth to an Earth pony, or a unicorn? Unless they held them in their arms at all times, they run a serious risk of dropping babies like meteors out of the sky. But no, this isn't an apparent concern of Cloudsdale for some reason. Why is that? The fact is, Cloudsdale is one of the least visited and most ambiguous places in Equestria, in spite of it being a major location throughout the show. The only thing worth visiting there seems to be the occasional competition and the weather factory. And yet, Cloudsdale holds a place of extreme significance in the Pegasi's eyes, or at least, it does in Rainbow Dash's. What's so important about Cloudsdale?
But dude, she's the element of loyalty. That's her home. Of course she'd be worried about it.
Au contraire, sir. By doing this, she lost her element of loyalty. She abandoned her friends and all Equestria to chaos for the chance that maybe she could help save Cloudsdale. She doesn't even live there anymore. She has her own Cloudsdale-esque home that is presumably separate from Cloudsdale. Why would she care so much about a place she doesn't even live in anymore? Speaking of which, Fluttershy didn't seem to particularly enjoy living there either. Why is that? The moment she met the wildlife on the ground, she presumably never returned to Cloudsdale. What could make this place so important to its former inhabitants and yet so undesirable to live in? We also see that Cloudsdale is mobile. The thing moves. It's an entire town that only Pegasi have access to that moves, and has the ability to do this. Am I the only one that thinks this is a bit unorthodox? Equestria has the equivalent of a warship hovering over them at all times, and they don't even realize it. What could be so significant about Cloudsdale that would explain this? The weather factory is the only significant landmark there. The only logical explanation is that it probably has something to do with that. So, let's examine the factory for a little bit. The factory is a very unique place in Equestria for a number of reasons. For one, it is technologically one of the most advanced things in the show. They have giant funnels pumping out clouds, machinery riddled with pipes, and other industrial oddities lying about. It's also unique because its purpose and functionality is fairly unclear. Sure, it's the weather factory, and we see it produce clouds, rainbows, lightning, and snow. But aren't all these things produced naturally as well? The only benefit that could be received by doing this is to have a little bit more control over the environment. So why is this the most noteworthy thing in Cloudsdale? I could go the easy way out and say, Rainbow Factory confirmed! For some reason. But I mean, not only is that a uncreative solution, but there's also no evidence. I mean, there's no evidence that ponies go missing here like it's some kind of colorful glue factory. There's no evidence that rainbows are a necessary product that should be produced at any cost. In fact, rainbows don't seem like they're in low supply at all. They're producing metric butt tons of the stuff. And yes, that is an actual measurement, a measurement that they are actually producing. They have so much that they throw it off of the sides of the city. They throw it off of the sides of Rainbow Dash's home. They pour it from the clouds to create the Rainbow Falls. And it's not even useful for anything. Pinky, who is known to like spicy food, can't stand how spicy rainbows are. You can't ingest it, you can't swim in it, it's like they can't get rid of it. But maybe that's the point. No, my fellow speculators, rainbows are not the mass-produced dreaded prize of the weather factory. It is the waste product. Rainbows are the equivalent of unwanted gas coming from smokestacks. Rainbows are the leftovers from the real product. But what is the real product? It is a weather factory after all. Wouldn't it be clouds, lightning, or rainbows themselves? Of course not! What kind of weird production method for water vapor and electricity would result in rainbow waste product? And they certainly aren't just producing that much rainbow for the fun of it. It's a waste of materials to make it all just to dump it over the edge. No, they're making something bigger, something more drastic, something they're using the weather factory to hide. Think about it. The very person who holds the city with such high importance doesn't bat an eye after destroying a chunk of the factory and all of its water supply. The factory is the only thing that is really noteworthy about this place, yet Rainbow Dash treats the weather production like it's nothing. But this was the only part of the factory that exploded. The part that was shown to be dedicated to creating clouds, lightning, and snow. What's in the rest of the factory? Where do the rainbows come from? This can't all be dedicated to rainbow production, or else it wouldn't be treated as such an insignificant product. Additionally, Rainbow Dash nearly walked past the corridor dedicated to what looks like the majority, if not all, weather production. What are the other corridors? Why wouldn't she, of all people, know where the correct one was? Isn't she the head of the weather team? What is this factory's real line of work? Unfortunately, that's where the trail runs dry. So in order to find out, we need to look elsewhere. And where better than the inhabitants of Cloudsdale? Now, the Pegasi of Cloudsdale are some of the strangest ponies in Equestria. Earth ponies are goofy sometimes, but overall they're pretty normal. Unicorns are mysterious and magical, but there are books upon books that can be read and studied upon their magic. What do we know about the Pegasi? Not much of anything beyond what is in their history books. And their ability to fly alone is more complicated than the paradoxical climax of Interstellar. Tyrek could take their ability to fly, implying that they rely on an inherent magic to do so. They probably use a combination of magic and their wings to fly, since Discord was also able to take away their flight by removing their wings. Now the comics, while I do not prefer their canon, still go through Hasbro, so basic concepts like how magic works should be reliable, right? And the comics claim that according to Rainbow Dash, the Pegasi of Timbuktu did not have magic in their fight against the Changelings. Either the Cloudsdale ponies are unique in that they have magic, while other Pegasi do not. The Timbuktu Pegasi are unique in that they don't have magic, or Rainbow Dash was wrong or lying about this detail of the story. No matter how you look at it, something doesn't add up. Why would the Cloudsdale Pegasi be any different than those Pegasi as far as their ability to fly goes? Or alternatively, why would Rainbow Dash lie about that detail? Additionally, Rainbow Dash has been seen floating still in mid-air without flapping her wings at all. Either she weighs literally nothing, or something went terribly wrong when Applejack jumped on the seesaw because she should only bounce as high as Applejack was when she jumped. The whole Sonic Rain Boom thing has a plethora of issues that need no introduction, and she survives hitting things at such high speeds and with such force that she should have disintegrated. Something so basic about Pegasus physiology shouldn't be so hard to understand, and yet it is. But that's not the only thing seriously unusual about Pegasi. Of course, there's the fact that the Pegasus race is one of the most diverse, strange ones out there. They have ones that can't fly, ones that fly faster than the speed of sound, ones that are meek, ones that are absolutely enormous, and there are even ones that don't seem quite put together right. And don't get me started on the in-laws. No, seriously, don't. Why? Because if you've paid attention, then you should have noticed that we have never once seen or heard of any Pegasus having any family of any kind, ever. Just look, pick any of the Cutie Mark Crusaders. Scootaloo? We've seen so little that most of the fandom is convinced that she is an orphan. Now let's look at the main 6. What about the only 2 Pegasi? We've never seen or heard anything about Fluttershy's family. And as for the only person we think is Rainbow Dash's father, nothing ever explicitly says he's even related to her. The only Pegasus we have ever seen with a family was not born in Cloudsdale, or even of a Pegasus. It was a child of 2 Earth Ponies. It doesn't add up. Wait, hold the what is that? There are 5 Derpies? Animation errors and duplication of background ponies is one thing, but this is a prominent background pony, and 5 times in one frame? Not only that, but there are Earth Ponies in Cloudsdale? Either they got a hold of Twilight's spell, or there's something deeper going on here. What is the one kind of person that doesn't have any kind of family? What is the one kind of person that cannot risk having offspring that might fall through clouds, because they cannot have offspring at all? What is the one kind of person that would be functionally different than the normal Pegasi in its ability to fly? The one kind of person that can defy normal limitations, and yet sometimes will have even greater limitations than normal. The kind that can't catch a contagious disease. Who would by design protect its place of origin even when it is irrational to do so.
I'm Rory!
Who comes from factories, who can be mass-produced identically, who can be given different traits by design, like whether or not it can stand on a cloud. What is the one kind of person that isn't a person at all? The Pegasus of Cloudsdale are engineered automatons, robots. The power-hungry Pegasi of the original Pegasus tribe probably seeked out a way to win any future wars they might have to partake in
Before they even happen.
So they pursued technology. They made weather control more easy as both a method of survival and tactical advantage. They stationed themselves in a difficult-to-access mobile fortress. They perfected weather control such that, if need be, it could be used as a weapon. And finally, they sought to improve themselves, functionally. But they aren't 100% robotic, as they have been seen to get food poisoning, broken limbs, and they contain enough magic within them to have cutie marks, wield the elements of harmony, and other things. But the mysterious town in the Season 5 opener is proof that towns within Equestria can have been founded upon great conspiracies. Cloudsdale is no different. Animation errors are a common thing, sure, but this proves that many things we thought were errors very well may not have been. I mean, do you really think this was an error? No. Every clone, every misplaced pony, every background alicorn or earth pony version of a Pegasi, every pony standing on a cloud was not an error, but a product of the factory. They've created an army that will rally to its flying fortress when it calls. Forget Sweetie Bot, there's a Psy Pony uprising that has been building its strength in silence.